Hello, Nerd Soup fans. I am Aaron, the Nerd Soup Monkey, and I'm here today with another episode of the Nerd Soup Podcast. And today I'm joined by Bo Oliver, and we'll be discussing some news in the world of movies and television alike. But we're going to start off with some of your fan questions. You can always send your fan questions to us at nerdsoupforyou@gmail.com, and we'll make sure to answer every single question sent our way. Not on this podcast, but throughout the week we're going to be doing more podcasts, so we'll try to get to all of them, and we will get to all of them. That's a Nerd Soup guarantee. And if we don't, blame Bo, not me, because I really can't deal with that. Again, you can send the questions to nerdsoupforyou@gmail.com. And all right, let's get started. And the first question comes from Randall Kopchek. Randall's my Harry Potter fan. When I was doing my rewatch on Twitter, he was helping me out along the way, so shout out to Randall. And he asks, do you think Westworld can get to Game of Thrones level of relevance? Cultural relevance? It's a difficult question because I think Game of Thrones is just so massive right now, and I'm not sure if anything can reach that level. Westworld might be just as good as Game of Thrones when it's all said and done. It had a very good, strong season 1, but we don't know how it's going to play out. If it continues on this trajectory, then maybe, but I don't know. I don't think Game of Thrones is being touched by anything right now. Maybe not until the Lord of the Rings Amazon series, which I'm very excited for. What do you think, Bo?
Well, I think the phenomenon of Game of Thrones is honestly unbelievable because it doesn't seem like a show that would be accessible to such a wide audience. It seems like a very specific audience because Game of Thrones essentially just took the fantasy genre and said, hey, remember this? You know these cliches? Fuck that.
Yeah.
We're doing something different. Fuck that. Fuck you. Fuck the world. It's so dark and gritty that I think it's a testament to how well it's done. It's just quality. The reason that it's been drawn in by that it draws in so many fans is because it's such a quality television show. Westworld, I mean, some people make the argument that Westworld season 1 has been better than any Game of Thrones season ever, which I don't know if I'm ready to say that. I loved Westworld season 1. I think it's damn near flawless, but I think Game of Thrones has had some flawless seasons as well. But Game of Thrones wasn't as big as it is now when it was on season 1, season 2. Even season 3 is when it started to pick up.
It takes a while.
Yeah, Breaking Bad was the same way. Nobody watched Breaking Bad for the first couple of seasons. A lot of people come on after streaming or binging, like 4 seasons in a row, and then they catch on for season 5 or season 6. But I think Westworld it's already pretty big.
The thing with Game of Thrones, too, is I think there's a large portion of the viewers that are not really sure what's really going on, but it's still entertaining that they'll still come back every week and watch.
For Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas Westworld, it's very hard to do that. You need to be, locked in.
But even doing the rewatch for season 1 and now season 2, it's very slow. Game of Thrones, it's not, like I said, it's not a show that's necessarily accessible to such a wide audience, yet it's become that.
And it's very hard to do.
And I think Westworld's slower.
Yeah, and I think this ties in very well with our second question, but when we see shows like Mr. Robot the first season, True Detective the first season, how great they were, you jump the gun and be like, wow, this is the next big thing, and then it kind of teeters down. Mr. Robot, I do like the season 2 and 3, but it's not to that level of season 1, and certainly not True Detective. So you got to wait to see how it goes. And then the next question at Sergio Dip asks, top 5 TV dramas and favorite pilot episodes. For me, I'll go Game of Thrones 1, 2 Breaking Bad, 3 Dexter, 4 Twin Peaks, 5 Sopranos, and then, like I said, Westworld is that fringe on the outside looking in because I don't know how good season 2, 3, and 4 are going to be. So I have a hard time putting it into a top 5.
So they want best pilot episode and top 5 TV shows?
Yeah. You want to give your top
dramas?
5, then I'll go with my pilot.
Well, I guess Game of Thrones would be in there. Twin Peaks, Breaking Bad, Star Trek The Next Generation. And number 5, I guess I would just throw this in, even though I guess it's not a drama, but it's a TV show. It's a drama. And I always say if they made a live-action adaptation, it could be the next Game of Thrones. But Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, the second one.
I wish we had comedies in there.
I'll just say my pilot, too. Breaking Bad, I think, is the best pilot of all time.
Yeah, that's a very good one. I have Dexter just because, and now I know Dexter after season 4 fell off, but I would put the first 4 seasons against anything. I fucking love that show. And just how the pilot was able to set up Dexter as like a serial killer, but the way they were able to present that to the audience and be intrigued and like not something you watch every day and someone that you would typically root for, but the way they just show his character and present it to the audience in that pilot, just such an intriguing pilot. And I think that really captured me from the beginning.
I'd also put Sherlock up there.
I love
I'd probably switch out Sherlock for Star Trek, but
I do like
it changes
Sherlock
every
a lot.
day.
It does. Like I've had a lot of shows in my top 5 that I've taken out just because they haven't been good. They haven't held up through the later seasons. And I keep Dexter in there because that's the first show I ever binge watch, and I just love the first 4 seasons so much. But it's dropped after the first 4 seasons. I would have it over Breaking Bad in my opinion, but it definitely fell off. And
well, Mr. Robot was a good point when you were talking about Westworld. Mr. Robot, the first season, damn near flawless as well.
Yeah.
Similar to Westworld. But season 2 lost me completely because I think it jumped the shark. And I think Westworld could be in danger of doing that as well because season 2, I remember you said that you wanted season 2 of Westworld to be the aliens to the season 1, which would be Alien.
Yeah.
Where, the first one was slower and more atmospheric, and the second one is just pure chaos. Hopefully they can pull it off.
Yeah, and look at like House of Cards too. Like after season 2, it was kind of just fell off tremendously.
Yeah,
And
it would be up there, but I'm one of those guys where once your show has somebody in it that I can't separate the art from the artist.
Yeah, it's even before that.
Before that
thing.
season 3, 4, 5 was terrible to me. I couldn't even finish 5.
So I actually am very interested though if a Robin Wright led. Well,
I was done with it before we found out the truth about Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, so
if it's good, I guess I'll tune in. But like I said, I didn't finish season 5.
it's interesting to see. Oh, that's all I'm saying. And we'll go on to the next one. And this question comes in from @JDiz28. What films loved and hated by critics do you have opposing views of? It's funny. Like, have you ever had a film like as a kid you loved and thought it was like so good, and then when you get older you realize no one likes this movie. Like the critics hate it.
Yeah.
For me, it was like Rocky IV. I always thought Rocky IV was like the greatest movie ever. And then as I got older, like Rotten Tomatoes came up, and you look it up, and it has like a 40% or 39% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's hard to think of off the top of my head. I'm trying to think of a film that I loved as a kid, and then I realized how critically panned it was when I got older. It's hard to think. I think it's easier for the other way around. A film that everybody loved that I didn't like. Actually, that's tough too. I mean, even recently, I didn't dislike the film. I gave it a positive review, but A Quiet Place, the 97% it has on Rotten Tomatoes, I haven't seen a negative review of it yet. Obviously, 97% means, but it's been universally loved by the film community online. It's not a movie that I loved. I thought it was good. I liked it, but I didn't love it as much as everybody else.
Well, the person that asked the question, they used the example of Forrest Gump.
That's a good one, yeah. Forrest Gump,
which offends me to my core.
And I try not
fucking
to be
love that movie.
I hate that movie.
Really?
But I'm not trying to be a contrarian. I know people who hate Forrest Gump just because people love it. I don't think it's a good movie.
I love
But the thing is,
Forrest
it
Gump.
Doesn't bother me that people love it. I just don't like it.
Yeah, well, you're wrong. And so it's the person who asked the question. I mean, a couple more recent ones. I like Batman vs. Superman. We both like Justice League. I wouldn't say we love those films, but, well, you hate Batman vs. Superman. But I wouldn't say we love Justice League, but we liked it, and the critics hated it. And for me, I didn't like Ant-Man, which I've said a lot. And I didn't like Baby Driver too much. And people love that film. I wasn't a big fan. And it's weird because I love Edgar Wright, too, and he's involved with both movies. Maybe I don't like him as much.
Not really Ant-Man.
He's a producer, right?
I fucking love Ant-Man.
Not a big fan, and I don't know. Baby Driver didn't do anything for me. But I love his other films. It just wasn't my favorite.
I like Baby Driver. So it was good for what it was.
I mean, people were talking about Oscar nominations. People had it in their top 10 films.
Yeah. Not for me. Well, I think it's so hard. I don't know if I'm on the polar opposite of, I can't think of a film off the top of my head. I'm sure I'll think of something later. But it's more of, I liked something and everybody else loved it. Deadpool, where people were talking about this movie should be nominated for an Oscar, for a screenplay Oscar. And I liked Deadpool, but I didn't think it was, it's not a top 10 superhero film of all time. It wasn't the best superhero film of that year, 2016. I think that title goes to Civil War or Doctor Strange.
Well, it depends, like, what scope you want to look at it. Like, I can say The Godfather is overrated, as in that most people think it's the best film of all time, and it's not my best film of all time. So in that sense, you could say that, even though it's a great movie. But in my opinion, I like Goodfellas. So technically, I would say that's overrated. And I know I'm going to think of something, like, tomorrow. Like, oh, fuck, I like that movie. And at Bartyns, Bartyns, who do you think should take Captain America mantle? And that's the first part of the question, so I just want to give your quick thought. Who should take the mantle of Captain America, assuming Chris Evans doesn't really want to come back?
I think no one. I think you just retire the character with Chris Evans. Let Bucky be the Winter Soldier or the White Wolf. I think that would be an awesome title for a Marvel movie. Marvel's The White Wolf. Even Anthony Mackie, I don't know, because he doesn't have the super soldier serum, so he's not going to have the super strength. He's not going to have the same powers. I think you let that mantle die with Chris Evans, and if they ever reboot the MCU completely, then you bring in a new Captain America in 30 or 20 years. But I think you let that mantle die with Chris Evans. He is Captain America.
Yeah.
Steve Rogers is Captain America. And I hate when they do that in comics, too. When there's a new Hawkeye or there's a new Spider-Man. It's like, no, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Hawkeye is Jeremy Renner. Clint Barton. I couldn't think of his name for a second there. Just let the mantle die with the actor in this case, especially for the MCU.
I mean, if you're going to make me choose between Bucky or Falcon, like those are the two candidates, I would say that could possibly take the mantle. I would say Bucky, because I just like Bucky better. But yeah, I think you're right. That would be a fitting way.
Give Bucky his own character.
Yeah.
If Evans is going to die. It's pretty hard to convince the world that this guy who's been an international terrorist for 70 years is now Captain America.
From the studio perspective, a Captain America movie with Anthony Mackie's Falcon taking a mantle will make a hell of a lot more money than just like a Falcon movie. It's the name, too, that draws the attention. And then the second part of the question...
That's why I don't think Captain America's going to die in Infinity War. People are saying, oh, this guy's going to die, that guy's going to die. Their movies make billions of dollars. I think you're not killing off Robert Downey Jr. There's stakes in these movies, but you have to remember that these guys are the faces of billion-dollar franchises individually, not even with the Avengers. Iron Man 3 made $1.2 billion, just from a business perspective. From a storytelling perspective, maybe.
Well, I mean,
but it's a business.
But they can always shift it. Like, Black Panther made a shit ton of money, too. You can sell him as the new head of the Marvel MCU.
Why not have both?
Well, I'm just saying.
You don't need one.
Of course, they're going to want as much money to come in as possible.
Why not drop Black Panther 2 and Iron Man 4 in 2-month span?
You know what's cooler than $1 billion?
Yeah, $2 billion.
$2 billion.
It's a taco commercial, Why not both? We want stakes in these movies, and I do think some characters will die. Even rewatching Age of Ultron, the Quicksilver death hits me more now because I kind of liked his portrayal of the character. But I don't think the head guys, the big guys, maybe if Evans just wants out, that's how you replace him. But
underrated actor, too.
Chris Evans, yeah, he's really grown into the role.
No, Untitled Johnson.
Oh, yeah, he's great. I like to see him come back in some, Thanos fucks up the universe and then they have to reshape it and Quicksilver is still alive and he doesn't have an accent.
And the X-Men are here now, too.
And they're mutants, yeah. And
Deadpool comes.
Hugh Jackman.
Henry Cavill. What the fuck are you doing here?
What?
And the second part of the question, is the whole gender switch in movies, i.e. Ghostbusters, Indiana Jones, a good idea, or should they stick to something original for women? I think the problem is when they make something good and original and no one sees it. For example, Annihilation, which I still think is the best film so far, 2018. I just have problems with reboots and remakes in general. I don't care about the gender switch or anything like that. Studios are always going to try to make money on a sure thing, which is why they'll continue to get remakes and reboots and sequels, and film lovers just want more original films in general. So I think that's the problem. It's just the lack of originality in Hollywood. But I think we're seeing a lot more of it. I think Red Letter Media makes a great point about Annihilation. How you had a strong female lead cast, and it was such a great movie, and no one's propping it up. No one went to go see it. No one's talking about it. But when it's like Ghostbusters or Indiana Jones, that moves the needle more. So studios are just going to decide to do that instead.
The problem with Ghostbusters, too, wasn't the fact that it was starring all women. The problem with
sucked.
Ghostbusters, it's that the screenplay was just awful. It just wasn't Ghostbusters.
And from the get-go, whenever you do that, I mean, people are always going to feel it's an unnecessary change, and why are they doing this? And
yeah, it's an easy out. It's a very easy excuse. It's like, oh, let's all point to this one thing, and that's what we'll blame. But the Indiana Jones as a woman, it's like kind of stupid. We just had Indiana Jones as a woman, and it was Tomb Raider. You don't need to make Indiana Jones a woman that to me is just silly when you gender swap characters like that. Like Juliana Bond, they were talking about, like Jamie Bond.
If it's a spin-off, I think it's different. But I just want an original idea. Just give me an original with a woman lead. We need more of that. I hate remakes and reboots. Like Indiana Jones, like just the thought of, even if it was
You hate remakes and reboots when they're bad. When they're good, nobody complains.
Yeah, but it's still safe and generic.
Star Wars The Force Awakens was essentially a reboot.
Yeah, but I just have a problem with, another Indiana Jones. Make something new. It's getting tiresome. But we're going to keep getting them. So.
Yeah, make Uncharted. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Apparently Tom Holland is working on that. So if you want a new Indiana Jones, you have Nathan Drake, who's a better Indiana Jones anyway.
And I guess it depends on the film, like the new Oceans movie, the Ocean's 8, right?
Yeah, but that looks, to me, if it's good, it's good. It's not about they casted 8 women. And the way that they're doing it, too, is that...
I'm actually a little intrigued with that. Cause I do like the Oceans, and it's not really a reboot or a remake. It's kind of, I think, a continuation.
Yeah, it's a shared universe.
It's a new team.
Yeah, it's the Ocean.
Like, if you want to do Indiana Jones, and he, like...
passes it on to his daughter.
Yeah, passes the torch to that. You could do that. Just more original.
We can retire the Indiana Jones character officially.
Please.
But I think like making James Bond a woman, that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it's because they're carrying the name. They want to make money. They want to be safe. With the Bond name, it's going to make more money than if they do a spy thriller with a female lead and call it like...
Black Widow.
That'll make money because of the fucking name.
Exactly.
But just like an original female character as a spy, it's not going to make any fucking money. Look at Red Sparrow.
You have Black Widow just sitting there if you're Marvel. I mean, it's obviously not Sony.
Well, did Red Sparrow make money? Probably did, but the movie sucked.
I never saw Red Sparrow.
I'm not sure how it did in the box office, but I know Annihilation didn't do shit, which is a shame.
Yeah, you could blame the studio for that, too.
All right, and that does it for the questions. Like I said before, nerdsoup4u@gmail.com. You can shoot us an email on your questions, or at NerdSoupMonkey on Twitter, so you can always ask to do that. And all right, let's get into some news topics. The big thing that happened yesterday was the new Solo, a Star Wars story trailer dropped. And the truth is, I really could care less about this movie. I'm not excited about the trailers. It's a shame, but it really doesn't move the needle for me. And the trailer itself, people were like gushing over it on Twitter. There was nothing special. It was a trailer. It's what I thought it would be. It's cash grab for Disney, and
yeah, the trailer itself.
I struggle to generate excitement for this film.
It looks and feels like Star Wars, but just don't care about Han Solo's backstory. I think it almost takes away from what he did in the first Star Wars movie. It also adds to the character the fact that we don't know his backstory. He's one of those characters like a Yoda or like a Joker or like a Wolverine. The more you know about him, the less interesting he becomes. We've talked about this movie so many times. The trailer specifically, like I said, it looks and feels like Star Wars. It looks like it could be a good movie, but I'm just not excited to see it. Yeah, when we look at all the blockbusters coming out this year, this is on the bottom of my list in terms of anticipation.
My expectation for this is like go into the theater and it'll be like a pretty good movie, and that's it. Like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's spaceships and Falcon and Chewie. All right. I don't really need to watch that, or don't know what it did for Han Solo's character, because it's weird, because what's his arc going to be in this movie?
I don't think he has an arc. I think it's just Han Solo.
Because his redemption arc is in A New Hope when he decides to come back.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's just going to be the same thing. That's going to be like Han Solo, obviously he has a heart. He's going to do something good. He's going to surprise us, where he's actually a good guy. He's not really all about himself. But that was A New Hope. I know. But what else are you going to do? You're just going to make
going to be a fucking prick the whole time.
Do we really want to see the prick Han Solo movie?
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't need to see that. I feel like Han Solo before A New Hope is boring almost. Like, this was his first adventure. When you see him on the Death Star, he's scared. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's not in control of the situation. He's running after stormtroopers, and then he comes back. It's like, I got this covered. He's being shot at. He's fucking improvising on the fly. He looks like a man who has never been in this type of situation before. So what the fuck is this movie? So obviously he has been in these situations. Why is he so startled and thrown off in A New Hope? It makes no sense. You're almost like ruining the continuity of the character. That's why I say it takes away from him. It's Han Solo becoming Han Solo is A New Hope. Like, we've seen this movie already. So what was he doing before that? Just like smuggling? Like, the life of a smuggler is not that interesting. It's like making the Davos Seaworth prequel. It's like him fucking smuggling onions in between kingdoms. It's like, who cares? Yeah, that's when he became Davos.
Yeah.
I don't need this Han Solo prequel. I just don't.
They're just generating like needless arcs and sequences and events.
I was thinking today of just not seeing it. Just not ruining what I already have with the originals, because The Last Jedi makes me not even want to watch the originals, because when I see Luke Skywalker and I see how optimistic he is and that he's going on an adventure, and now I think of The Last Jedi, I'm like, oh, what a terrible end for this optimistic young man. You're going to die alone, kid. And a virgin. All right, let's just skip to the next news. I can't do Star Wars anymore.
It's getting me angry.
I feel like such a fucking Star Wars nerd. Like the worst kind, but I can't help it.
You want to see
That's
something
how I feel.
a little funny, and for the audience too out there? This guy on Twitter, Electro Melon or something like that. He did a Lando rap as Childish Gambino.
Oh boy,
it's one of the funniest shits I've ever seen in my life. You guys got to check it out. I'll retweet it later. It's so fucking funny. He nails it. So what do we got over on the Westworld side of things? Since you are the Westworld guy.
Yeah, well, apparently Westworld Season 2, it's coming up in a couple weeks. I think we're only, 13 days away from the season premiere of Season 2. And apparently Season 2 is going to feature an episode that is fully in Japanese. We're going to be exploring the Shogun world, so I'm assuming that's going to be our introduction to this new park filled with hosts. We were obviously teased about it at the end of Season 1 in the finale. So I think that's really interesting. The whole episode is basically going to be in subtitles.
That's interesting, too. Yeah, I actually do like the idea. It's kind of, when thinking of Season 2, when we made the Alien versus Aliens comparison, it's like they can't really do the same thing they did in the first season, because they already did that, obviously. So it's interesting to see in what ways they try to differentiate Season 2 and what they try to do. And I think introducing a new world and having an episode strictly focused in on that, I think is an interesting idea. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and the other piece of news coming out of Westworld was showrunner Jonathan Nolan, who was recently on Reddit talking to fans, and he brought up how they were going to try and counteract fan theories for Season 2. And I also want to point out that this idea turned out to just be a troll of the fans by the creators. But it was an interesting idea, because he was talking about the line between what's a fan theory and what's a spoiler, and I think that's an interesting conversation to have. But the idea that he had with fellow showrunner Lisa Joy was that they were going to make a video and completely spoil Season 2 before Season 2 actually was released. So all the twists and turns would be available for people who wanted to watch them or wanted to know them, so that before Season 2 aired, they wouldn't be itching to make fan theories or look out or search out for spoilers. They likened it to the fact that when Game of Thrones came out, the books were already released, so that people already knew the twists and turns, and they were protective over them for the people who didn't read the books. And what it turned out to be was just a video of Evan Rachel Wood singing, and then it was like a dog for 20 minutes. So it was a troll, but even if they were going to do it, I don't know if I like this idea.
No, I don't. Because I think most book readers were like, just not douchebags and didn't spoil it. But there was always a couple of people who just like to spoil shit for everyone. I'm talking to the person who commented Star Wars Last Jedi spoilers in one of our comments.
I don't know why people have
5 minutes before I went to go see the film on opening night too. So how did you know? Yeah, it's gonna get spoiled right away. Our first Westworld video, someone's gonna put it in the comments. I just know, and it's different because if you're just putting it out there, then that kind of takes away something from it. Some of the more fun aspects of a smart TV show is people on the internet, like community, just trying to piece it together and trying to predict what's going to happen. And none of it's set in stone. So even if someone makes this well-rounded theory and, everything fits together, you don't know for sure that's going to happen. So there's still that element of surprise when it actually does. But if you're just taking that out of it, it's just ruining it. And you're not going to know what's a theory and what someone read on this video. So it's going to be hard to differentiate that. And that's just fun, especially Mr. Robot, when someone absolutely nailed the spoiler in Season 2, right?
Yeah.
The jail, like the whole jail thing. And that's fun. Let people be creative and generate interest in their show. And
yeah, I think it's different from a spoiler when there's a fan theory that everybody believes in and then it actually comes true. I think that's almost even better than a surprise because it basically says that you guys were right on the money. And that's always nice, a little pat on the head.
Yeah, and also I feel like personally attacked because some of the best videos on the channel last year were your theory videos.
Well, I think it's an interesting conversation to have between theory, what's a theory and what's a spoiler.
Yeah.
But it almost reminds me of the response to The Force Awakens that Rian Johnson had, where the movie encouraged the audience to come up with theories, and then the movie came out and said, fuck your theories. It's different because there obviously are going to be twists and turns and things that we should be on the lookout in Season 2, but if they just come out and give that to us all up front, it's going to be ruined for everybody. It's not the same as all of the internet coming together and piecing together a theory and then that theory comes true. That's not a spoiler to me. That's almost like it's reaffirming the work that we did as fans, the fact that we're so invested in this show. And not all the theories came true.
No, and is R plus L equals J a spoiler, a theory? Now that we know from the show confirmed it, but before that, No, it's just fans piecing together the clues that's left by George, and then
Right, and I
coming
think
up
that
with
was
the
a
right
great
answer.
moment when it was confirmed. It
Yeah.
wasn't like, oh, I wish I hadn't read about any of this. It's like, holy shit.
Don't tease stuff and leave like a trail of breadcrumbs if you don't want people finding it. You know, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's and
Unless-
first of all, a lot of people that watch Westworld weren't on the internet looking for fan theories. The majority of the audience is watching the show, and then they go to bed, and then they go on with their life, and oh, it's Sunday, time for Westworld. A lot of people that I knew that watched the show had no idea about the theories.
Yeah.
So it's not that big of a problem.
All right, scenario for you. It's a week before the season finale, the series finale, and it gets hacked and released. Are you watching it, or are you holding out?
I'll hold out.
You have to, right?
Yeah.
That's an experience. That's
Yeah,
like
I want to experience that with the
at
world.
your TV Sunday night, 9 o'clock. You have to watch it.
Yeah. No way. I'm not watching the leak.
Yeah, but then we can get the review done earlier and get those views.
Shut the fuck up.
All right, that's we'll touch on that. We got a lot of reviews to go into, so we're gonna cut the news short. On the next podcast, we're gonna get into the big Game of Thrones news. 55 nights to film a battle sequence. That's pretty insane. And then the reported $1 billion budget for the Lord of the Rings. So we have a lot of reviews on this episode. We'll save that for next episode so we can spend more time on that. All right, so we're going to do, what do we got? What did we see? Isle of Dogs, Quiet Place, which Bo and Stu, shout out to Stu, epic comeback.
Yeah.
Like
I
Jordan
don't know
wearing
about Diesel, man. He's been Diesel, but
Jordan wearing the 4-5.
yeah.
They did A Quiet Place. I'm going to give my thoughts, and me and Bo are going to have a little discussion on that. And we saw Blockers, too. So
Good week
not
for
bad.
movies. Yeah.
You know, it's funny, too.
It's been a
like,
good year.
yeah, I mean, I got a little disgruntled after seeing Tomb Raider and A Wrinkle in Time. I'm like, I want to be pure going into Infinity War, so I didn't want to see anything else until that time. I was just going to go dark. But yeah, I ended up not following through because I don't follow through in anything I say. I have no conviction. So we had Unsane, Ready Player One. What else was there? Isle of Dogs.
Annihilation.
Well, no, after Tomb Raider.
Death of Stalin, I saw.
Death of Stalin.
Yeah.
What did I say? Isle of Dogs, A Quiet Place, and Blockers. All pretty good movies. It's been a nice little stretch we've had.
Yeah.
And I don't actively seek out bad movies to see. I'll just wait for them to come out like on demand and stream before spending money on it. Unless it's like a pretty big movie like Tomb Raider or A Wrinkle in Time. I'll see those. But yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised. So what do you want to start with?
I guess you can give us your thoughts on A Quiet Place.
Ooh.
I said my piece.
Yeah, you weren't too high on it. You didn't hate it, but
Yeah, I said I liked it. I gave it a 6 out of 10. To me, the biggest problem was that they just kept telegraphing so many of their scares. So when they happened, they just weren't as scary or engaging to me. Like the one scene that I think, before you get into your thoughts, when they showed her bringing up the laundry and the nail came out of the floorboard, I thought, how amazing would that have been if they filmed it before she steps on the nail, that we didn't even know the nail was there. Right before she stepped on it, the camera shows the nail coming out of the floor and then smash. That would have been, like, even when she stepped on it, I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. But if we hadn't known the nail was there and she stepped on it in like a split second, because they kept setting...
What's the...
They kept doing it. Even the first scene, it's so obvious that the little kid was going to die. And to me, that's just... It's not bad filmmaking, but it just takes away from the moment when the little kid was snatched. They show him with the toy. They take out the batteries. He gets the toy back. He grabs the batteries. The toy is obviously going to go off. The pregnant woman... Obviously, the baby's going to be born and the baby's going to cry. How are they going to deal with this? I felt like that should have been set up. Like the game plan for how they're going to keep the baby quiet, and then maybe that fails. That would have been more tense. But for me, it's like I knew these problems were going to arise. They didn't catch me off guard. They kept telegraphing every single scare, and it wasn't really that scary to me.
Yeah, it wasn't scary.
What I liked about the film was the performances.
Well, the things I liked the tension, like the silence created. The silence allows you to take in the world and focus on the emotional and physical performances by the cast, which I thought the whole cast was phenomenal. It's great acting for a horror film, and that's what you get when you have, John Krasinski's a pretty good actor, and he's directing. He helped write it, so he's able to get his wife Emily Blunt. So you automatically just get a better cast in general than a typical Truth or Dare type horror movie.
Yeah, definitely.
And I like this. There's really no exposition, but the audience is able to learn about the world and what happened just by the story progressing.
Yeah, it's a very simple plot. You don't really need exposition.
I like how the audience kind of is able to piece it together while the film goes on. The script and the shots help tell the story more than just usually with a type of film like this, you'd get like captions in the beginning or something like that. The sound design was phenomenal. The characters are great, which is rare in horror, just to have great characters in general. I thought the shots were phenomenal. The cinematography was great. Like you said with the flaws, it wasn't scary at all. A little slow. I felt like a lot of things didn't really make sense as far as how practical they were for this world they built. Little things like electricity. And the scene when the sound blocks, like the higher sounds block out lower sounds. And Krasinski waits like over a year to tell his children that.
Yeah, you can pick holes in the logic. Those are nitpicks.
Yeah, just a couple things,
Yeah.
Cover my bases.
But I've seen people making those arguments too, like, oh, how did they keep clean? How did they wash themselves?
How did they not fart? I'm dead in a fucking minute. I snore too loud.
Yeah, snoring. That's another. Yeah.
But
and I love how he's got that like soundproof basement thing. It's like, why aren't you living there?
Yeah. There's a few things you can nitpick, but I don't know. Like Krasinski's death, like I thought that was
to me that
very well done.
It was telegraphed.
I know, but it was still sad. And I thought there were some great moments too. I thought even though the practicality of the waterfall, maybe he should have let that be known throughout his family before then. That scene with him and his son at the waterfall, I thought was pretty great.
Yeah.
And you can point to things like Krasinski's reluctance to teach his daughter and take her with him. Meanwhile, she's clearly the braver and like strongest of the two children.
Yeah, the lack of dialogue really helped build that tension between them.
Even though we're in a post-apocalyptic society, they're still like assigning gender roles. Like he basically assigns his son as the one that he's trying to groom into being a leader if he dies or something to be the head of the family, when it's pretty obvious that the daughter is more fit for that role.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really liked the movie. I did. I can see your problems. I wasn't really intrigued though with the horror. I felt like, I don't care about horror. Horror movies don't do anything for me in general anyway.
This and Don't Breathe were very similar, but Don't Breathe was just a lot more entertaining and a lot more surprising. If you're trying to create that atmosphere that's trying to creep me out, Don't Breathe succeeded, whereas A Quiet Place didn't.
But I didn't need it to scare me for me to like it.
Yeah, but I felt like the character stuff wasn't that strong then.
I disagree. I like the silence, the way the family's portrayed to us. Like we're thrown in, like everything's already established, so we're thrown into it, but we learn more about what type of family this is just by the subtleties and the progression of the story. I think the marketing fails this movie a little bit because people are going in expecting like a horror. Like they had like the blacklight shots of the movie theater, people screaming and going, no, And every time I see that with a movie, I'm like, I don't want to see this movie because they usually do that for bad movies, and they're trying to be like, oh, look how scary this movie is. Go see it. When you don't need that for this film because it's not scary, and I don't think by marketing it as a horror movie, people are going to expect it to be scary. And this is not a film that necessarily has to rely on that.
Then you're saying the strength of the film is atmosphere.
Yes.
I guess it's just something that didn't work for me. But it seems to be working for everybody else, which is cool. I mean, it's making a lot of money, too, so it's... So
you're more of a Dwight Schrute guy.
No, I am not. I'm not a gym guy either. It's good. It's a good sign for studios to see that, and I don't know if it's independent. I don't know what studio made it, but the fact that it's made on such a low budget.
I think it's Michael Bay's production company.
Yeah.
He's got his fingers on it.
New filmmaker, John Krasinski, an original idea. It shows studios that, yes, you can do original stuff, and it's going to make money. People will come out and see this movie. Movies like Get Out, Arrival, these smaller films that are making not blockbuster money, but if this film gets to like 200 million worldwide, that's a huge success.
I feel like we say that every small movie, that original movie that makes a lot of
but
money.
We're seeing more
Everyone's like, oh, this is going to change it. This is going to show studios you can do original ideas and still make money, and then they don't.
It is changing. Yes, they are. Look at studios like A24. A24, they're pumping out amazing indie films every single year. The amount of indie films and smaller films and dramas that we get it's increasing every year. I think we're seeing more and more of them. I mean, we even saw a big budget indie film in the form of Blade Runner 2049. We've never seen a studio take a chance like that. Obviously, we might not see it ever again because it fucking crashed and failed at the box office. Mm-hmm. But if we can still listen, we've had successive years of Get Out, and now we have A Quiet Place. But you even said it the other day. It looks like horror is back. Don't Breathe, Lights Out, the Ouija trilogy. I guess they're making another one. The Conjuring.
Good horror movies usually
The Witch
make good money in general. But what I'm saying is it's not going to stop studios from making another reboots, another sequels, and Super Troopers 2. You know what's coming out like next week?
I'm not a fan of Super Troopers. I'm not a fan of really that group.
I used to like Super Troopers. I feel it was a lot funnier when I was a kid. I feel like I won't like it now.
I'm not a fan of like Beer Fest. That's the other one they did, right?
Yeah. Speaking of good comedies, we
Yeah.
saw Blockers, and I was not expecting. I mean, it got really good reviews, and I was shocked by that. I thought it was just gonna be like another, because
It looked terrible from the trailers.
Yeah, and comedies have been weak lately.
Yeah. Well, I think comedy is like the hardest thing to do. It's really hard to make a great comedy. And I wouldn't call Blockers a great comedy, but it's a really good one. It's the most I've laughed in the theater
Compared
for a
to what
comedy.
we've got recently in the past
Yeah.
like 5 or so years, it's up there.
Yeah. It was, for me, Blockers, the first 15 minutes of the first act were just on fire. I was like, this is going to be one of the greatest comedies of all time. The theater we were in, they were all dying.
I know,
It was a great crowd.
Great performances too, and it's hard to talk about comedies without going into spoilers, so because we can't really tell the jokes. So,
What was a spoiler in Blockers?
well, I'm just saying, we're gonna be talking about jokes, and if you haven't seen it, it's gonna fly over your head, and then when you see the movie, it's kind of be. So we're just gonna get into spoilers. You want to skip ahead to Isle of Dogs? Check the timestamps, and we'll just continue with Blockers. Great performances. I feel like Hannibal Buress is always the funniest part of everything he's in, but he's only in it for 5 minutes.
Yeah, he had a really funny part in this movie.
The Persian Gulf War. I was dying when he's talking about. It's like, yeah, my prom night, we signed our friend up for the Persian Gulf War.
Yeah.
He died.
Convinced one of my friends to join the army.
And like 5 minutes later, he's like, I thought he was just gonna be in the reserves.
I thought. Yeah, like I said, the first like 15 minutes or so are it's just non-stop comedy, and then the movie kind of hits a lull in the middle once the kids actually get to prom. And I thought the biggest criticism I had with the movie is that they should have focused more on the kids rather than the 3 stars, because I thought the kids' performances, I thought their portrayal of high school and the anxieties and the peer pressure of being a teenager, specifically a teenage girl in this movie, it was portrayed so well, and it surprised me on how tasteful the movie is. I mean, you have your adult humor, you have your blue humor, the gross out, the adult jokes, but there were great moments of emotion between parents and kids and kids and struggling to find your identity. It was a bit smarter than I anticipated it would be, which was a pleasant surprise.
The kids all had their different motivations and different things that they were dealing with. And they kind of had that sort of like coming of age, coming into your own, the more condensed version, and obviously a comedy movie. But
because you had to split time between the adults and the kids.
So you couldn't really focus on their individual stories.
But the parents were good too, though.
Oh, yeah.
And Leslie Mann.
She's underrated. Like,
she's the queen of comedy.
She's awesome.
She's still kind of hot.
Oh, yeah. John Cena, he's still kind of hot too, man. He's rocking those shorts.
Well, I think John Cena is a great comedic performer. Give this man an action franchise. It's his time.
He's great. He was funny in this.
I think he's the next big guy after The Rock. I don't think he's as good as The Rock, but I think he could be the next big action star. Yeah, he was really good in this. I thought he was the best out of all of them.
What's the guy's name? I feel like I see him all the time.
He was in Neighbors. I have no idea what his name is. I looked it up this morning too, and I can't remember it. But he was good.
His character was hilarious.
Yeah, and I think his relationship with his daughter was the most impactful.
Yeah.
When they all had those like scenes at the end where they're kind of reconciling with their kids.
Because his relationship with his daughter is probably the most important as far as, what his motivations of John Cena is just like the overbearing
He's an
father.
archetype. Yeah. We've seen it before.
Like, stay away from my daughter. Leslie Mann, like, her character is just afraid of losing her daughter. But their relationship, it's more in something like he didn't want his daughter, she didn't tell him, but he suspected that as a lesbian, to be forced into something that she doesn't want to do, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So he's trying to get there to actually like help her and tell her it's
first,
okay.
And he was against the parents too.
Yeah,
which I wasn't expecting.
And he's like, yeah, follow your feelings. Like, it's all right. Like, be yourself. Whereas the other parents are kind of just, their motivations really didn't matter as much as his.
Yeah.
And he's portrayed as a parent who's kind of like the deadbeat, but he's really trying to
it's almost like
reestablish
an
that
archetype
connection
as well. Like we've seen the deadbeat parent, but it wasn't even so much the deadbeat. It was like there's unspoken tension between all the members of that family.
Yeah.
Like there's stuff that happened. Like he said, there's 2 sides to the story. It's so weird that we're getting so into this for a movie like this.
Yeah.
But it really, I think the script was, I'm not saying it's the most intelligent coming-of-age film of all time, but I'm thinking for an average comedy, it was a lot smarter than I expected it to be.
And it was still, I think...
And it was
funny throughout.
Yeah,
Laugh out
yeah.
loud, funny throughout.
There was some great, we'll see if they become iconic, but there were some like great callback jokes that they had throughout the movie when they're deciphering the emojis. I think those were the two funniest scenes of the movie.
John Cena's just like, oh no,
He's okay.
Okay, yeah.
He's okay. And they're like, he's just against all the things that he's saying. It's like, oh, what's the emoji for dick?
Eggplant.
Yeah, the eggplant. Where he keeps like explaining to John Cena's character what all this means, and John Cena's so against it, and then it's just like sex pack #2018.
Yeah.
He's like, see, they made a sex pack. Yeah, but it was really smart, well directed, by a first time director. I forget her name. I always forget these names when I look them up for my research. Yeah, if I had to score it, if I was doing a regular review, I would give it 8 out of 10.
Yeah, it was very funny. Great story. And we need more of that.
We grew up in a great time for comedies.
Yeah.
When we were young, when we were getting like Superbad and Knocked Up, the Judd Apatow era.
I think because Lights Camera Pod, they did a poll, like best comedies of the 2010 to today, and then 2000 to 2009, and it's just unreal how great a comedy was in that span compared to what it is now.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad.
Well, we had so many great comedic performers in their prime, like Judd Apatow, Seth Rogen, Jonah Hill. All these guys were coming up. Will Ferrell.
Paul Rudd.
Yeah, Paul
Jason
Rudd.
Segel.
Yeah. Depending on if you find him funny, Adam Sandler, which
That's more 90s.
Yeah, but even in the 2000s, he still had some of his better movies, if you're an Adam Sandler fan, like 50 First Dates, Funny People, Mr. Deeds was 2000s, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Longest Yard. I hate Adam Sandler. But I'm just saying there's a good mix of different types of comedic performers in that era.
Yeah.
And now it's who's the best comedic filmmaker? There really isn't one.
Well, it's either,
there is no Judd Apatow anymore.
It's either you get like the that group, Sausage Party or The End of the World. No, This Is the End.
Right.
Or you get like Kevin Hart's new movie. And that's really it.
That's sad.
That
new Kevin Hart movie looks so bad.
That other comedy, what's the name of it? We saw the preview of. I forgot what it's called.
Sorry to Disturb You or something like that.
That looks good.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that.
With the guy from Get Out. The Get Out! And Tessa Thompson.
Yes.
And Armie Hammer.
Armie Hammer. All right. Before we get to Isle of Dogs, we have another question I see, and I actually like this question. At David Lannister, big fan of the soup, asks, top 5 directors and least favorite Kubrick movie. Do we have time for this? Maybe we can do it next time. All right, real quick, top 5 directors.
Well, why don't we start with your 5 favorite directors? Why are you throwing it at me?
Well, no, I was going to say we do that
Can
question.
you stop messing around with the keys?
My keys.
Well, you set it up perfectly, and I just bounced it back to you.
No, I said that we were going to do that eventually on a different. I feel like that's a good question. We could spend a lot of time on that. David Lannister, we'll keep that in the back.
Why are you shoving David Lannister to the side? He's a big time fan.
I know.
It's big time nerd super.
That guarantees a second spot on the podcast when we put it off to the side for our next.
So you're using
episode.
David Lannister as a promo. You're using him.
I don't know.
You're messed up, man. I like you and all, but you're messed up, and I think you need some therapy.
David, don't worry.
I was excited to say my top 5, but I was going to allow you to do it
That's a
first.
whole segment. We don't have to brush by it.
I'm not going to. It's easy. Top 5, and then we could get into it in another show.
Well, let's do both in another show.
You don't have a top 5. That's why. You're shook.
Really gotta go top 5 now, huh?
Why? Because are you embarrassed by your top 5?
I'm not embarrassed by my top 5. I have a very solid top 5.
Yeah, you have a very cliche top 5. That's why. You're gonna go home and you're gonna look up like
White House directors that only fucking pretentious assholes like, so I can
Jean-Luc Godard.
name drop them.
Yeah, I don't really watch mainstream films. I'm more of a French impressionist guy. So
I'll just name 5 I like. No ranking.
A French guy smoking a cigarette is not a movie.
It's a film.
That is true. Holy shit.
I just want
to say I saw the Death of Stalin last night at a theater called the Nighthawk in Brooklyn. If you're in the New York City area, you should go to this theater. And we saw the Death of Stalin, and before the movie, they would play all of these Russian television clips. It was like a montage of like these Russian children's shows and promos for the government and documentaries, and they would splice in Family Guy clips that they were making jokes about Russia. And it was like, now for Russian cartoon. Shoe and shoelace. One is useless without the other. The end. It's like, oh, that's good old Family Guy.
All right, can you keep going? I need to stall while I look up fancy directors to make myself sound smart.
Well, I'll talk about worst director movie? Should I say that?
Well, just no. Name my
Didn't
five.
he ask what's the least favorite Kubrick?
Yes, but you got on your, you wanted to do this when I wanted to
Eyes
save
Wide
it,
Shut. Just because it's his
Shut.
worst film, but I still like it.
All right. David Lynch.
He was dying when he was doing it. So. Oh, you're doing it? Okay, go ahead.
David Lynch, David Fincher, big David guy. Quentin Tarantino, Spielberg, and 5.
You Bull.
Who?
Mick G.
It's
disgusting how you stole half of my top 5.
Really?
Or 2/5.
What, Fincher and Lynch?
No.
You like Fincher?
I like Fincher. He's on my top 5.
That's sad.
He's a good director. I think when people say he's the best of the 21st century, which people make that argument, I'm like, you're wrong, but...
You know what I really like, too? I was gushing over Annihilation before. I love Alex Garland. Even
yeah,
though
he's
2 films.
For 2.
I don't think I could go top 5 yet because he only made 2 films, but what a fucking start for you, bud. Keep directing.
For you, bud?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was like you, Bull's brother. Spielberg, Fincher, Lynch.
Spielberg, Fincher.
Chris Columbus.
Lynch, Tarantino. 3 of your 5?
No.
Oh, why not?
Can you finish your 5?
I don't know.
Scorsese?
Yeah, I'll go Scorsese. I was going to go either Scorsese. I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm a big James Cameron guy, but...
Oh my God, I fucking love James Cameron.
I was thinking, I gotta go Scorsese. Goodfellas is my favorite film of all time, so I'll throw Scorsese in there.
All right, my top 5, the correct top 5. Spielberg. No order. Kubrick is my favorite. So Kubrick. David Lynch. Hayao Miyazaki. Love Miyazaki. And...
You love me some... What did you say?
I love me some Miyazaki.
Oh.
5th, I guess it's...
you're saying I love me, so...
I would say probably James Cameron, honestly, 5th. Big James Cameron guy. Love Avatar, too. People are always like, oh, that's the one where I don't know if you can put him in the conversation. I love it.
I thought it was such a hot take, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really like Avatar. You're like, nobody fucking likes Avatar.
When you said that it was a hot take, I was like, oh, I found another Avatar guy. It's like I found a fellow brother. Fellow Avatar brethren.
I like Avatar, but I was saying I'm not crazy about it. I thought everyone liked Avatar, so I'm like, yo, hot take.
When I saw Avatar for the first
okay.
time, I thought this is probably how it felt for people who saw Star Wars back in 1977. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was like, I was, first of all, I didn't know if it was real or not. The world, when they first showed the world, that scene when they're in the boot camp, the military trucks are going back and forth. I think it's when Sully first arrives there. I was like, what the fuck am I watching right now? I felt stoned out of my mind, and that was before I was a big pot smoker. But I fucking love James Cameron.
I wish I was a bigger Kubrick. I like him. I love Full Metal Jacket. 2001 Space Odyssey. I only seen recently, but I really enjoyed that film. Clockwork Orange, I love. It's all I really seen, though. I got to expand my Kubrick.
I'm jealous.
So far, so good. 3 great films, so.
Yeah.
I guess got to keep it going.
Strangelove, you seen?
Oh, yeah, do top 5.
You've basically seen half of them. What's left? Lolita? The Killing?
Most of the directors I named, I've seen. If not all of them, 80%.
Oh, you've seen The Sugar Line Express?
Was that one? No, I said if not like 80%. So that's why I didn't want to put Kubrick in, because I felt like I'm be selling him short, only seeing a few of his films. And Alex Garland, like I said, he only did 2.
Sorry. I can't believe I did this. Love you, James Cameron. Denis Villeneuve.
Oh, I can't believe I've done that too.
Yeah. I had him in my head, and then for some reason I forgot to mention him in my top 5. But wow. Cameron would be number 6. Denis Villeneuve,
he's the best director today.
His filmography is already like, if he was to call it quits, it's like that conversation you have with athletes if they retired today.
Pretty seamless, right?
Yeah, I think you can. People are like, oh, he needs people. I always say that. People are like, I've heard in the online community, he needs one more to be considered one of the all-time greats.
Well, what's the number? How many?
How many films does he have altogether?
You say one more, so that's, what is that?
Well, the thing is, I think he's got a masterpiece in the last, every year that he's dropped a movie. Blade Runner 2049.
Arrival, I love.
Sicario. Prisoners.
I'm so pissed he's not back for Sicario too.
I don't think that movie even needs to be made, but I watched Sicario last night.
I love Sicario.
Yeah, it's so good.
I love Arrival.
I
love Villeneuve.
He's almost like, the way he crafts his movies, they're like perfect. It's like everything is just so perfect. Every shot, every scene, every moment. I can't find any flaws in his last 4 films. And then his earlier, he hasn't made a bad film yet. But yeah, those are my top 5.
What's next on the docket for him?
Dune.
Doom?
Dune.
Oh.
Doctor Doom, that would be pretty sick. I would love a Doctor Doom movie by Denis.
Dude, and they're redoing that?
Yeah.
Yeah. See? I don't even care. Reboot Denis Villeneuve? You could do it.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Later on 2049? Perfect.
I'd love to see him do, well, they were talking about Daniel Craig wanting him for Bond, but I'd rather see him. I want him to do what he wants to do. Like he said with Blade Runner 2049, I did it so that nobody else could do it.
I was listening to another podcast, Lights Camera Pod. Someone asked them a question like, would you rather Nolan do adaptations like a Bond or something like that, or do more original work? I think that's an interesting question too, kind of hijacking. And you were saying for Villeneuve, you said you want him to do more original work rather than like a Bond.
I think Nolan almost works better when he's adapting things. I don't know. Nolan's up there for me too. Probably put Nolan like 7 after Cameron.
It's kind of crazy
Nolan
too.
is like a sloppier version of Villeneuve.
You know, that's funny. Like, how often do you? Well, I guess you can do it with the original Blade Runner, but 2 of your top 5, like David Lynch made the original Dune, and which was nothing special, but and now Villeneuve's gonna redo it. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. I think it's going to be more faithful to the actual book, which is, I mean, Dune is considered. I don't know what year it came out.
80s.
Yeah.
The film?
No, the book.
Oh.
I don't think it's before Lord of the Rings, but it's considered one of the great sci-fi epics. It's got that. It's kind of like a mixture of Star Wars.
84.
Right. It's like a mixture of Star Wars and Game of Thrones. That's what they call. I've never read the book, but I've seen the film. But I've heard it's.
I didn't hate the film. It just wasn't.
David Lynch hates the film.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's what I like about Lynch too, is that he kind of went out of his comfort zone. It's still, you could tell that it's made by David Lynch, but. Yeah, I'm excited for that movie, but I guess you want to get into Isle of Dogs?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I just want to talk about David Lynch, actually. The way, like, he can just make Twin Peaks one of my favorite shows of all time and just drop Mulholland Drive and, like, Blue Velvet like it's no big deal.
Great hair.
Oh, tremendous hair.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. You should donate, like organ donors, donate your hair follicles to science. Let's get that going.
So, Isle of Dogs. See, that's what I like. I'm by myself. I'm kind of out to dry. You come in, we're flowing. The chemistry's on. It's popping chemistry. Don't know why I phrased it like that. But Isle of Dogs, what'd you think? We'll do quick non-spoiler, your general thoughts, then we'll get into some spoilers.
What are some spoilers of Isle of Dogs? He finds the dog.
That's actually a pretty big spoiler.
If you don't see that coming, you're not going to see Isle of Dogs because Isle of Dogs. I don't know why I went New Yorker with that. You're not going to go see Isle of Dogs and not expect him to find his dog. I mean, come on.
That's actually a spoiler.
He's a dog guy. And if you're a cat guy, I wouldn't recommend it. Very anti-cat. It's a good movie. I mean, it's typical Wes Anderson. It's got everything is very perfectly symmetrical, but, it's like a love letter to one of my favorite directors, Hayao Miyazaki. It's like, oh, Wes Anderson does Miyazaki. And it's got the Japanese setting. It's very Japanese, but also very Wes Anderson. So it's a interesting mix, and it worked. The voice cast is incredible. Bryan Cranston, Liev Schreiber, I loved him as Spots. I kind of wish they wouldn't have picked a voice cast where everybody has such an incredibly deep voice because I kept getting confused as to who was who. It was funny, the interactions between the dogs and the characters that were speaking Japanese and speaking English, and sometimes it was translated, sometimes it wasn't. It was overall, I thought it was very well done. One of his best films. I'd say top 4 for me.
Pretty good. I love this film. I didn't know it was gonna be that dark. For some reason, like I saw the trailer when we went to go see other films, and I thought it was gonna be a little more lighthearted. It was pretty dark, and that dark humor was. I laughed really hard. It's probably the funniest movie I've seen so far this year. I haven't really seen that many comedies besides Tomb Raider.
The fuck was that?
That was an awful comedy drama.
I
I don't know what that was. God, I suck. And I was just so encapsulated by just the animation style.
It's not like a Leica film. It's not like Kubo. But you don't expect it to be.
But I just loved it. Like, it was so like offbeat, and like the way they set it up with the narration and the flashbacks, and like the dust clouds and all their fighting.
Oh, that was the funniest part when they would get in those little skirmishes.
Like,
it's like, who wants? Let's take a vote. Who wants? What was Bryan Cranston's dog's name? Chief.
Yeah.
It's like, who wants Chief to fight the robot dog? I, not I.
They had a lot of reoccurring funny like bits like that. I thought the film was hilarious. A lot of dark humor at times. Like, I felt bad for laughing. Like, the opening sequence when they're explaining what happened with the dogs and all this stuff. And, like, it's presented in a comedic way, but when you really, like, analyze what they're talking about, it's really sad.
And I love the way that the dogs felt like real dogs. If you watch the behind the scenes, they brought in a lot of dogs to record their movements so that they were accurate, so that you would feel like this is a movement that a dog would make. The little ticks. I love how they all kept sneezing. My dog used to do that all the time. Every time a dog sneezed, I would just laugh. It's like... It's in the middle of a sentence.
I think the main criticism people had of this film was the dialogue. It was very, nothing to be like to delve into. It was very basic.
All of his films are like that.
Yeah, but the thing I would argue with that is, number one, I was just paying attention to like the little like animation. Like I could see like the fleas going through the fur. I thought that was like little shit like that. Like really took my mind off it. So I really didn't notice it that much. Second of all, the only characters that speak English are dogs. So like, I know, like, they can speak, and that's, like, dogs don't speak and all, but what do you want to have them, like, some high grasp on the English language where they're going into, like, deep monologue and, like, have actual substance? They're just conveying what's necessary in this scenario. It's not... I felt like it was just very relaxed and, like, interaction between a group of people would be.
Yeah, I mean, they feel like characters within a Wes Anderson movie. So if you're criticizing that, you're just criticizing Wes Anderson. I had this argument with my sister's boyfriend. He's like, why does he feel the need to do the same shots in every single movie? Why is everything always perfectly symmetrical? Why does he always have that shot where it's the people walking in a line? And I'm like, dude, it's just his style. Nobody makes movies like Wes Anderson. It's the movies that he wants to see, obviously, because he keeps making them. So when you go into a Wes Anderson movie, if you like one of them, you like all of them. That's what I say. And if you don't like one of them, you're probably not going to like any of them. It's just his style. But then there was an argument about the cultural appropriation, where at first I thought, this is just stupid. It's the internet overreacting. But then somebody made the argument that the movie sets itself in Japan, but it's really not concerned with Japanese culture, that it could have been set in Montana. Why choose the Japanese setting? I guess that was for he was going for that visual look of those Japanese animated films, specifically Studio Ghibli.
Another thing I heard too is the name Atari. It's not like an actual Japanese name. It's just a name like two white guys made for their video game console.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you have an argument there too, where it's like, why the Japanese setting? I guess it's a tribute.
Yeah, it's more of it's obviously something he cares about, and it's not like it's something that inspired him. So I don't think there's a difference between...
I don't think either that he was thinking, oh, let's set it in Japan because we're going to rake in the big bucks.
Yeah.
There's
a difference between like a tasteful inspiration rather than just a money grab.
Yeah, and this is not a money grab.
No, and I think his intentions were fine. Obviously I'm not Japanese, I can't tell you if it was appropriating or not. But
yeah, that's not for us to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we can give our opinions, but...
So I don't think there's nothing wrong with being inspired by a different culture and trying to make something of it, but there's different ways you can do it. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not really gonna get too deep into that.
What would you give it out of 10?
It's one of my favorite films of the year so far. I'd give it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I go 8 out of 10. Not one of my favorites of his, but like I said, top 4.
You know what it is? I want to see it again. It was so funny. There's so many quick jokes that he kind of gets lost. And
yeah, it was rapid fire. Same thing with Death of Stalin. If anybody out there has seen it, Death of Stalin was sometimes that can work against your film. I thought that was the biggest problem with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Death of Stalin is the same guy as Veep, right?
Yeah, and I don't like Veep.
You don't like Veep?
Because the thing with Death of Stalin, the reason I think it works so well is because it was based on real history, and it's the jokes were being played off of the events that were actually happening. So it's almost, the director said he had to tone down the real life events because they were so absurd, people wouldn't believe them. So you can imagine these things actually happening and being comedic to us because we're outside of the situation. We're not living in Russia, we're not in fear of our lives, but it's funny because it's a satire of how ridiculous the power struggle was after Stalin died. With Veep, because it's based on, they're just making it up, I don't find it as funny. That's just me. I know a lot of people out there love Veep, and I'm not saying it's a bad show. It's just not for me.
Oh, another thing. There's a baby in my Isle of Dogs showing.
That's, I don't know.
Not an actual baby. I think maybe 2 or 3. I mean,
was he quiet?
No. If it was quiet, I wouldn't know there was a 2-year-old behind me.
That's terrible.
So I wouldn't care.
Usually babies are quiet in films, and if they're acting up, people take them out.
Toddler.
Yeah, that's bad.
They probably thought it was a kid's movie, too, because I thought it was like a kid's movie. But
and I'm a big baby guy. Like, I'm a big baby supporter. I know a lot of people don't like kids. I don't like kids, but I like babies, because they're, like, funny and they're stupid. It's easy to make them laugh. It makes me feel funnier about myself. Like, if I could be a baby stand-up comedian, I'd be killing it.
Is that why you like Ted?
Is that why we like Ted? It always comes back to Ted with us, huh?
No, we like to joke. I think it's just he gets so mad over it. All right, well, that's the podcast.
He doesn't listen to these anyway, so.
Oh, no, he doesn't even fucking watch the channel. Well, he'll come back and be like, oh, did you watch this video? Be like, well, I don't know, you guys dropped the video.
Oh, my Ted impression.
It's pretty spot on. I thought he was in the corner for a second. All right, and that does it for the Nerd Soup podcast. Thank you for listening. Like I said before, questions we'll be taking at nerds. Why do I keep saying at? nerdsoup4u@gmail.com. You can access all your questions, and we'll get to all of them on the upcoming episodes of the podcast. We'll be doing one later this week. I think we're going to go see Rampage. So we'll talk about that. Oh, God. Do we really have to see that?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll do Rampage, and like I said before, we'll...
George!
So, yeah, we'll talk about Rampage.
Of course the wolf flies.
Yeah. We'll do some Game of Thrones stuff.
Great game, too.
What game?
Rampage.
Rampage, yeah.
I should love that game.
I don't
it's
really
more
know
of a War of the Monsters guy.
Don't know how it really translates to a film, but we'll see how they do that. Like I said before, some Game of Thrones stuff we'll get into.
Have you seen the trailers?
For Rampage?
Yeah.
At the movie theater.
So what do you mean you don't know how it translates to film?
Well, I don't...
Beautifully, apparently.
Are you familiar with genetic editing?
Are you familiar? Oh, no.
God.
It's a big arm. Don't fight it.